The trapped core wound in dismissive and fearful avoidance, its origins, manifestations, and the path to healing. One of the most misunderstood inner experiences of dismissive and fearful avoidance is the deep-seated fear of feeling trapped. It's not about being unwilling to love or connect. It's about an internal system that equates closeness with overwhelm, loss of self, and emotional danger. This core wound of "I am trapped" often drives the very behaviors that make intimate relationships so difficult for them to sustain. The origin: childhood conditioning. This wound usually forms early in life, in environments where emotional safety was either missing or inconsistent. For dismissive avoidance, caregivers were often emotionally distant, critical, or discouraged emotional expression altogether. These children were expected to be independent far too soon, emotionally self-sufficient without ever learning how to regulate or even feel their emotions. For fearful avoidance, the dynamic was even more confusing. Their caregivers were often unpredictable, emotionally intrusive at times, and neglectful or abandoning at others. As a result, these children learned that closeness might feel good for a moment, but could become dangerous without warning. In both cases, the child internalized a subconscious belief. If I get too close, I'll be engulfed, overwhelmed, or hurt. It's safer to shut down. The nervous system recorded emotional closeness as threatening, and the wound of feeling trapped by love was born. How the trapped wound manifests in adulthood. As adults, avoidantly attached individuals may want connection, but it rarely feels safe. They often carry a push-pull pattern in relationships, where the very thing they crave becomes the thing they resist most. Here's how the wound shows up in daily relational dynamics. Push-pull behavior. They may lean into a relationship until emotional intensity rises, then suddenly feel suffocated. As a coping mechanism, they withdraw, only to return once distance feels safe again. Hyper-independence and control. Healthy requests for communication, intimacy, or emotional support may be interpreted as pressure or control. Something as simple as, "Can we spend more time together?" can trigger panic or resistance, not because the partner is unreasonable, but because it echoes an old fear of losing autonomy. Shutting down in conflict or vulnerability. When difficult conversations arise, avoidance may emotionally check out, intellectualize the issue, or deflect. Vulnerability feels unsafe, and their nervous system may go into flight or freeze rather than engage. Sabotaging healthy love. Ironically, emotionally available, secure partners can be the most triggering. Because these partners do show up. They have needs, boundaries, expectations, all of which awaken a deep internal conflict in the avoidant. Unconsciously, the avoidant may find these partners too much, too needy, or too intense, when in reality, these are simply healthy forms of emotional engagement. The avoidant system, however, perceives them as a threat. The nervous system's role. This wound isn't just psychological, it's neurological. The trapped feeling lives in the body. The nervous system of someone with avoidant attachment has been wired for protection, not connection. Even small moments of emotional closeness can activate a survival response. That's why traditional logic, "just communicate" or "you're safe now," often falls flat. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. The healing process. What it takes. Healing the trapped wound in avoidant individuals doesn't happen through force or pressure. It unfolds gently, through regulation, awareness, and safe relational experiences that rewire the nervous system over time. Here's what that journey typically includes. Recognizing the pattern. The first shift happens when the avoidant begins to name what's happening. Instead of blaming the partner or retreating automatically, they start noticing, "This feels overwhelming." Not because it's unsafe, but because my body is reacting to the past. Validating their own needs. Avoidants often suppress or ignore their own emotional needs, viewing them as shameful. Healing includes reclaiming the right to have needs and expressing them, even if awkwardly at first. Somatic regulation. Because this wound lives in the body, somatic body-based healing is essential. Nervous system regulation practices, such as deep breathing, grounding, co-regulation, or somatic experiencing, can reduce the alarm that closeness sets off. Over time, the body learns, closeness doesn't mean engulfment anymore. Creating secure space for connection. It's important that avoidant individuals learn to communicate their need for space without rupturing connection. Statements like, "I care about you. I just need a little time to regulate and come back to this." Allow both autonomy and connection to coexist. Reparenting the inner child. Underneath this entire dynamic is often a young part of them, a child who felt smothered, abandoned, or punished for being emotionally human. Reparenting that inner part with compassion helps shift the internal narrative from "love traps me" to "I can stay and still be myself." Slow exposure to secure attachment. Healing comes not through avoidance but through safe, gradual exposure to emotionally present relationships. Secure partners may trigger the avoidant at first, but over time, these relationships help rewire the system and challenge old beliefs. Final thought: freedom and connection are not opposites. The tragedy of the trapped wound is that it convinces people they must choose between connection or freedom. But true, secure love offers both. Avoidants don't fear love, they fear what love once felt like. With the right awareness and tools, they can learn that closeness doesn't mean self-abandonment, and that it's possible to be fully connected without ever losing themselves.